Happy afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Friday edition Facebook Live of the On Air Advocate. At the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. My name is Tammy Flynn, and I'm very happy and thankful that you have decided to come on over and visit us here at our Facebook Live today and follow what our weekly focus has been, which has been DIPG, one of the rarest and deadliest forms of brain cancer known in kids today. And so I could think of, after doing research and learning that there is such a deficit within it, I could think of no better way than to share about DIPG than with a family that is going through the trials and tribulations of that right now. So I would like to welcome this beautiful and courageous soul, Miss Catrice, who her family right now is fighting to defeat DIPG for their son. Are you there, Catrice? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, how are you?
I feel like you're on the run. I feel like you're on the run.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you're there.
Okay. I'm sorry. I had to grab something really quick.
Oh, no.
My name is Catrice, and my son, whose name is Daryl Robinson, was diagnosed with DIPG on November the 29th of 2017. He was complaining of feeling dizzy, and initially I just I thought to him, I said to him, well, maybe you need to drink water. When's the last time that you had water? Mm-hmm. And he was just, he said, well, I haven't drunk any water lately. So I was like, okay, just drink some water. You should be okay. I think it was a Monday. He drank, he drank water that night. It was probably like 9 o'clock. Went to sleep, went to school the very next day. Everything was okay. I asked him, was he okay? He said, yeah, I'm fine. I feel okay. And, we did our normal routine. And then the next following day, which was a Tuesday, I got a call from him at school saying that he felt really dizzy again, but this time it was really bad. So
was his dizziness kind of to the point that he couldn't walk, or it was making him nauseated to his stomach, or?
He wasn't nauseous. He didn't have, excuse me, a headache, but it was to the point where he wasn't able to keep like a steady balance. So he wasn't able to really walk. So, that was something serious, and I was nervous, but, I'm still thinking, okay, it couldn't be anything major. So we went to the emergency room. I took him to CHOA, that's Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. I took him to the Eggleston location because that's the one that I'm familiar with.
Okay.
And he saw the physician, the ER physician, and they told me that they needed to call a neurologist in to kind of, they were thinking about doing like a CT. So then she came, we spoke, she introduced herself, and, they were asking him certain things like, trying to, the normal exam where they'll get you to kind of, look left, look right, look up, look down. I'm still thinking, nothing major. So they did the CT. They came back and they told us that they found something on his brain.
Okay.
Her exact words was, I have bad news. We found a spot on Daryl's brain. And I was speechless. I still, at that moment, I didn't think that, this was something major. I'm just thinking, okay, well, they found something.
Like, we can take care of it. Like, there's an answer. You can find the answer for it. Yeah.
Well, they end up admitting him, and we got a room. They wanted to order an MRI because, an MRI gives you more details versus a CT. So they then did the MRI, and that's when it just got worse and worse and worse. They then told us that that the spot was located on his brainstem, and because it was located on the brainstem, that it could not be removed. And at that point, it was, I guess, the physicians were basically breaking down the brainstem and how it works, and
at this point, as a mom, were you just like, I mean, I can just imagine that this probably replays in your head right now all the time. So, I mean, what were you thinking just at that moment? Like this isn't real, or this has to be something we can solve?
At that moment, I think I was just saying it's definitely something that we can fix.
Okay.
Like it has to be a way to fix it.
Right.
And I'm just being hopeful of it being a way that, or something that they can come up with to, to make it go away.
Right.
So they then shared that this tumor was a high-grade tumor.
Okay.
And that
did they explain then what a high-grade tumor? I mean, obviously you haven't had children with this before, so did they explain then like what a high-grade tumor was and
yes.
what that kind of meant?
Yes.
Okay.
They basically broke it down that when it comes to the brain and brain tumors, it's different from, the breast or, the other tumor.
Okay.
You have low grade, which is kind of rated at 1 or 2, and that's pretty much called a benign tumor, which is a non-cancerous tumor. And then you have malignant high-grade tumor, which is graded at a 3 or 4, and that's basically a cancerous tumor that could potentially spread.
Okay.
So, they gave him a grade 4, and at that point, it just went downhill. I've had really tough days, but I've had good days. And I think what keeps me going is that every day I'm waking up with Daryl. They started a care plan, and that's been rough as well because it caused me to have to not work, and the bills don't stop when you're dealing with stuff like this. And so basically the treatment plan when dealing with brain tumors is radiation, and they may prescribe a chemotherapy pill along with the radiation, and that's what they did for Daryl. They prescribed 6 weeks of radiation, which we had to take him 5 days a week. The radiation is only like 20 minutes, so his time slot was 11:30, and he would pretty much be done if they're running on time within 30 minutes or hour and a half. It varies. So he did that for 6 weeks. He also took the chemotherapy pill. He still takes that. He takes.
Now, what is that? What is that? It's just an oral pill that he takes every day?
Yes, it's an oral pill that he takes every day. There are 4 pills he takes twice a day, and he can't have anything to eat or drink 2 hours prior to taking it. So that was the combination, that pill along with the radiation. Now we did do a follow-up appointment after the radiation because he finished radiation about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. And the follow-up appointment, they did another MRI, which showed 25% of shrinkage. So, that's great news. And they then started a different pill that he was to take for 5 days, along with the pill that he's already taken.
Okay.
And
Now, I think when we chatted on the phone, did he get into any type of a research or a case study or any kind of experimental projects that are going on? I know we had just talked a little bit about St. Jude's, like they combined with the hospital you're working with on
mhm,
that, or are they
mhm,
doing standardly? Because, you know, in my research and reading that I've been doing since we have met, I know that the mixture of the chemo and the radiation a lot of times can slow it down a little bit, but the progression, you know what I'm saying? It still continues. And so
mhm.
I know that there's been, I didn't know if you were you part of one of those projects that are going on?
Yes, he is. It's a clinical trial that he's on, and that's where the chemotherapy pill comes in at.
Okay. So that's not a normal that would usually be done. That's with this experiment, kind of
Correct.
experimental study that's happening.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And so the 25% shrinkers, and then when you went in just 2 weeks ago, have they revised your care plan? Like what are the next steps that way? Aside from all the statistics and the stuff we'll talk about in a few minutes, you know, that we've learned about DIPG, but from the
Mhm.
hospital setting and from their standpoint, now what are your next steps? He takes these pills each day, and then when's kind of like that next milestone marker?
Well, he was initially going once a week for appointment, where they would just make sure the blood work, all of his blood work was okay and normal, and that things that his body was reacting to the radiation and this medication. Now, since the radiation is gone, um, the next appointment is this coming Monday, and they're pretty much going to we're having blood work done today, actually. The way it's set up now is I take him to the nearest lab to have blood work, but luckily we have a satellite location. So they
Okay.
have a satellite children's healthcare center where I'm going to take him. You don't have to make an appointment. You just show up. They do the blood work. They get the results, and then by Monday we're going to go over the results, and they'll make sure that everything is good as far as labs, and they'll, I guess, tell me um, what's next. Because honestly, it's hard to say, because where we are now, we don't know the full care plan. It's more so just taking it appointment, based off of the appointments that we have.
Right, right. And in the research, I'm sure, so after you found out that your son had this in the research that you started doing, um, what were some of the things? I mean, I know some of the things that I found once me and you connected, which for myself, in my background in being in charitable efforts and an advocate on a regular basis, I can
Mhm.
tell you that I was I was excited inside to be able to try to spread awareness, but just disheartened and angry inside to think that less than 4% of all funding and research that is being done in our cancer field is going towards DIGP. And then yesterday, I found out from another woman who her granddaughter passed away from the same thing, that actually that 4% is in that whole area. And so when we look at DIPG, it might only break down to 1 to 2% of funding is going to find an answer, a cure, and treatment. And I just think for a monster of a cancer of this nature that is so horrifically taking our children, how can there not be more, and how can we not do better than this? And so you know, from my standpoint, I've been doing my, you know, research, but when you went out there after finding out and started to look at things online and try to find content and information, what struggles do you think that, you know what I'm saying, you have found in that area of trying to find information, or lack of, I guess I'd say, or things that you have found?
I guess that's one of my concerns, is that there isn't a lot of information. You read and you research certain things, and it's pretty much the same things over and over again. Um, I struggle with the fact that they are saying that there's low funding, and because of low funding, there isn't enough research provided. Therefore, there's no cure. So that's what I guess is one of the most disappointing things about this situation. I've been reaching out to other people. Well, I should say other people have been reaching out to me who are going through a similar case or who have gone through this similar situation. And I've talked to helpful people that are going to start some fundraisers for Daryl and provide me with alternatives, that they didn't know before but now have found out. So just doing my own research, I honestly, I've come to the conclusion that I personally think I'm going to try to do other things as far as more natural and, holistic type things. I've been considering that. I've also thought about traveling outside of the state to maybe speak with physicians in different healthcare centers that have dealt with more cases of the DIPG, that particular diagnosis.
Now, you being in the Atlanta area, Atlanta does have, Emory Hospital, which is obviously a top ranked, medical facility as well. But I know myself, when me and you spoke to each other on a personal level, when my son was going through, one of his operations and procedures, and he was one of only 3% of kids in the United States, I know that I had to seek knowledge from outside of there. And I found a lot of information at some of the hospitals in New York and in Philadelphia and, that sort of thing. In researching DIPG, where have you found that there's the most cutting edge things being done for DIPG, or I guess research projects, whatnot? What states have you found that in the United States, or has it all been outside of the United States?
I found Tennessee, St. Jude's Hospital. They seem to be they have more cases of children that was diagnosed with DIPG than Georgia. And then I've also heard some things about Mexico that I read about. A woman whose child passed away from DIPG, but the lifespan is that they give you is typically between 8 to 12 months. Her child, from reading, her child was the longest case that I had read about. I think her child lived for about 4 years.
Okay.
And it was because she took her to Mexico to have treatment. So I've done, some research into that, but I did discover that it was illegal.
Right.
And some other things. So I kind of, got stopped in the tracks during that. But basically today, as we speak, I'm still trying to find out where I can go. What is the best alternative for, me and Daryl.
Right. And I think, we spoke before this, and I told you I went to our medical facility here, which we have one of the top ranked, children's hospitals also in the United States. And I went to the head of their library and records and pulled all of the studies and things that have been done across the United States and outside, articles that have been written. And in the last 10 years, there's only been 175 things written, you know what I'm saying, of trials or things being done other places. So when you think about the magnitude of this, that over 350 to 400 children are being affected with this every single year, times that, you know what I'm saying, times 10, to think that there is only 175 articles, we have to do better. I mean, it's just, it's sad. And I did see that article. I read that article about the woman in Mexico, and I think she said the cost of that was $300,000.
Yes, it was $300,000. It's not covered for by insurance. So,
It's outside. And last night, I didn't finish all of it, but I did find that there have been some studies that have been done with children in Israel. And so there was a percentage of them that were able to keep their life expectancy was like at about 3 years. There was like a grouping of them, and I don't know all like the modalities and the different things that they were doing with that. That was something that I was going to, break down and send to you. But it just seems, we're in the United States, we're here. How can this be? How can 400 children be affected by something? And I just wanted to throw out for the audience listening and for people who are going to listen back to this on a replay. And I hope that anyone who's listening to this, also, if they know anyone who is going through these same things or, friends of family that could benefit from this, to please share the broadcast. But from some statistics that I found is that we know that DIPG is, inoperable because of where the spot of it is on the brainstem. It's incurable, and it has a less than 1% survival rate. On top of that, which I found to be, I think, one of the things that was most disheartening is the fact that it robs the child of their our natural abilities, over the time of it, but keeps us cognitively aware. And the first time that I read that, I honestly, myself, I broke down in tears, because I thought to myself, these kids know everything that is going on, and they're losing their function ability to, to speak, to chew, to swallow, and they have to live with this, to walk. So, I commend you for sharing this. You are like on the journey. You are, in the trenches of this right now, and you are on that quest to not be that statistic. And I think every single parent out there is on the same thing, and we need to be building more awareness, and we need to be pushing that more needs to be done, and more percentage needs to be going towards that research to find a cure and to find some, greater answers for these kids. So I'm just so thankful that you took the time, to share today. And I definitely, if there are some different things that you bring together for events, organizational things, I know that the On-Air Advocate, myself personally, want to be there to be, back behind you to help and support this. Myself, it's so interesting to me, over the time of years of doing charitable events, every year I gave a portion of my proceeds to cancer research funding. And so, I've been in that arena before, and I didn't even know that DIPG existed. In addition, I talk to doctors on a regular basis. My son is at the hospital about, 2 times to 3 times a week. And I'm not in the neurology department, and I haven't been in the oncology department, but every other department I've talked to, pharmacists that I've talked to, there's no one who knows about it. And why don't they know about it? Why isn't all this funding and all this awareness? Why aren't there campaigns, and why isn't it being put out there? So it takes each and every one of us, to use our voice and to advocate. And that's how we make things happen for our kids. So with that, how can we support you, and how can we help you right now through this time? From our prayers to our thoughts to, I know that you're missing work and all of those types of things. Where can people find I have the link, and I'm going to drop a link below, but where is that at? What is the link to that to help out in this campaign and journey for you and your family?
Well, like you just stated, definitely keep us in your prayers. And our goal is to provide awareness, to get it out there so that people know about this disease, and to also to basically get as many people on board, and to make it known, like you hear breast cancer, and how you hear of diabetes and things like that. to get people to know what DIPG is, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, to know what that is, and so that they can come out with a cure.
Right.
And if you could share my site, because I don't have a site set up for Daryl. I post everything on my Facebook and my Instagram.
Okay.
And we do have a GoFundMe account for him that is set up. And so if you could just list that, and if everybody can just repost,
Right. Right.
and
Keep sharing.
keep sharing. That's all we ask for.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the most beautiful and courageous things about this, is that you are going through this right now, and you are not only thinking about your child, but all of these other kids that have been affected by it in the past or are being affected by it right now, and that lack of awareness. So I can tell you on my behalf, you have my voice fully and upfront, through this whole entire process, because
And I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
it's unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable that we're in this day and age, and this is what these kids have to go through. So I'm going to post all of that below. I think on that, like, you have a caring page. On that page, you can put messages, right? Can people message you on that page? Can they put up, like, I think they can put a post
Yes,
for
they can.
Daryl and
They can message me. They can you can choose to be anonymous if you want, or you can share your name and just add something, a brief sentence.
okay.
Um,
So they can do that. Also, if anyone has questions or wants to help in a different way of any kind, I want to open it up that, I'm always continually checking this Facebook Live feed that will be up. And so please comment below, and, one of us can answer your questions, or I can get you in contact with Catrice and their family to be able to help in whatever way. There was one more thing I did see on some of your Instagram and whatnot. You guys are doing kind of like a bracelet campaign
yes.
of some kind. So what is that all about for, people that are listening? Are you doing anything like with business owners, or is it just some, like where people can sell them at their stores, or?
It's just something that we came up with where people can sell them at their stores. You can just purchase them. I take them, with me. I went back to work 2 weeks ago, and I only do part-time hours, but I took them to work. I take them to church. I take them if I'm going grocery shopping. I've given a lot of them to my friends who, have different organizations, and other friends, and they're $5. The colors are, we have red bracelet, and then we have a gray one, because of course the awareness color for brain tumor is gray, and Daryl's favorite color is red. So the bracelets are hashtag Daryl Strong, and it also has DIPG, find a cure, on them, and they're just $5. And those proceeds actually go directly to us. We're going to initially come out with shirts that those proceeds will go to an organization to help find a cure. But if you would like to purchase a bracelet, just go to my Facebook, or
Or right below this, they can,
right.
if they want to, they can just comment below. And, I'm obviously, you're in Atlanta and I'm in Wisconsin. And so if any of my network is watching this, I would be more than happy to gather and grab, what I'm saying, a whole bunch of them from you, and be able to distribute them, here, if people do want them in their stores and business locations, or for themselves, and we can do one shipment, all together. So that's another way that we definitely can do it. But people can drop below, and then I can get in touch with them to make sure that if they want to purchase a bracelet, that they can.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I would love for you to, you know, continue to keep us updated on everything, and the whole entire rest of this weekend, as obviously we pick a weekly focus here at the On Air Advocate, is going to be about DIPG. But just know that I will be personally visiting this quite a bit. I want to know when you start selling shirts. We are there to support you guys this whole way and support all of these other families that are going through DIPG.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
All right. Well, hugs and love. I know it's a far distance, but I'm going to get to hug you soon. I don't know when it is, but I'm making.
I can't wait.
I'm going to make my way to Atlanta sooner than later. So I know that you have appointments and things to get to today. Blessings and love from, you know, from all of us, and we'll be talking again soon.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
God bless everybody.
Thank you. God bless you too.